Gents, if you want to stop drinking or smoking or doing drugs, you got to try this, all right? Most guys, when they want to stop drinking, smoking, doing drugs, they do one of a couple of things. Number one is just cold turkey it, and fuck, if you can do that, good on you, but you know, the old success rate isn't overly high on that. Some guys can do it, some guys can't. A lot of guys try going through like counseling, psychology, psychiatry, all these sorts of things. They try a bunch of different things. Sometimes they work, but if you're one of the guys who's watching this video, chances are it probably hasn't worked for you, right? The reason why you're addicted in the first place is because of what I call dopamine toxicity, right? Dopamine toxicity, well actually first of all I need to define what is dopamine. Dopamine is a brain chemical. It's a neurotransmitter that runs throughout your nervous system, throughout your body. And it controls your motivation and it controls addictions. What its sole job is it's to make us find things which are good for us and do more of them. But the issue with drinking, smoking, drugs is that they hack this and they continually make us want more and more and more. And even though they're not giving us the things that we want to have or that we need to have, it keeps making us want more and more and more and more of this. So back in the day when we were cavemen, dopamine was designed to make us have more sex so that we would breed and procreate and we would, grow as a species. It was designed to make us hunt more food. It was designed to make us to build more stuff and create more things so that we could have a better quality of life and a greater chance of survival. However, in this modern day and age, all those things are easy. We fuck like rabbits. We've got food on tap. We don't have any worries about survival. And so what dopamine turns to is it turns to things which are not so good at it. And our body craves this dopamine. It just wants more and more and more and more. That's why that first line of cocaine is never the last. That's why that first beer is rarely the last. That's why when you smoke once, you probably want to smoke twice because dopamine is craving it over and over and over and over. And now you can go in and you can go cold turkey. You can go and do all this counseling and get all these strategies and things like that. But in the end of the day, the fundamental underlying physiological condition is still there. Dopamine is still there and it's fucking with you. And that's why it's not working for you. So if you want to fix this, you need to fix your dopamine. That is as simple as that. Okay? Now we've done this with hundreds of different guys. Right? Every single time it works. Why? Because we're working with the root of the issue. We're working within the nervous system and we're working specifically on dopamine within that area. Okay? Now the way that you can do this, the way that you can start working on this, on fixing your dopamine, there's several things. Actually, the best way for you to learn this is a couple of weeks ago, I created a full training, goes for about 15 minutes, and this one is a short one, not too long. 15 minutes, and it shows you exactly what you need to do in order to regulate your dopamine, how to actually get it back on track. So if you want access to that, comment dopamine, okay, down in the comment section below. But the steps that you need to take in order to regulate your dopamine and to get it back is number one, you need to what's called resensitize your receptors. When you smoke a lot of weed or drink or take drugs or just smoke in general, anytime you have one of these things which are what I call dopamine toxic, any of these addictive things, right? What they do is they get rid of the receptors in your brain for dopamine. What this does is it makes you want to crave more and more and more. When you have more receptors, a smaller amount of dopamine has a greater effect. Does that make sense? I hope I haven't skipped too much there. Remember, I've studied many, many years at university, so I'm trying to condense like some elite, high-level stuff and make it, not fucking boring pretty much. But what happens is, whenever we get an addiction, we get a desensitization of the dopamine receptors, meaning that we need more and more and more dopamine to get the same effect. That's why when you used to get drunk off a couple of beers and you used to feel really good from it and feel relieved, now you need 10, 12, 15. When you used to just smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes, now you need 3 or 4, 6 or 8, 10 or 12, so on and so forth. You used to have 1 joint, now you need to have 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? It's because you've lost the receptors. You need to get those receptors back. And the second thing is you need to be able to increase your natural supply of dopamine. Make it work in the natural way again so that you actually get excitement out of simple, boring things, right? Things like going out and hanging out with your mates, being there, being present with your kids, eating food. For those of you who've ever dieted really hard, I used to back when I was a bodybuilder, I used to get rid of all my dopamine. Food works on dopamine as well. And so I used to eat fuck all. Right? I used to get excited over a carrot. That's how sensitive I was to dopamine. Eating a carrot was like, fucking, I get to eat a carrot. How good's this? I know it sounds miserable. It was pretty miserable. But it's showing the dopamine effect in action. Does that make sense? But for a way better explanation, way more helpful explanation, just be like Ryan Moxham and just comment down below dopamine if you want access. Now, also for your clients, I've noticed there's a couple of boys on here. We've got Pat Deeg, and I just saw you pop on, my man, living, breathing example of someone who's crushing their dopamine. Ryan as well. Guys, if you're a member of JCF, you get all this in your portal and like 1,000 times more. So if you're a client of ours, you're working with us, you're getting coaching from us, you don't need this, you've already got this and like way more in your app. Chat with your coach if you need extra help with it, because we've got dopamine resources for days for you guys, okay? But for everyone who's not a client or not a client yet, for some of you guys, just comment dopamine, I'll shoot it across. On that note, guys, I'm going to leave you to it. I hope this was helpful. I'll speak to you soon.